So previously what we have discussed is, alright, I think we are talking about 1773 Act. We were talking about 1773 Act, that is, which has created the institutions of Governor General of Bengal, alright, the Executive Council, Supreme Court, then, alright, providing of annual report, alright. So these were the provisions of 1773 Act. So these were the provisions of 1773 Act. So let me talk about the significance of this act. Let me talk about the significance of 1773 Act, right? So this act for the first time created the institutions of Governor General, right? So Governor General of Bengal. This act has created the institution of Governor General of Bengal. The same institution of Governor General of Bengal later became Governor General of India. Then this Governor General of India was made as Viceroy of India. The same Viceroy after commencement of Constitution. The same Viceroy after commencement of Constitution became President of India. That means, can we say that the origin of the office of President of India is in 1773 Act? When you see this chain or when you see these links, can we say that the office of President is in 1773 Act? Yes or no? Right? So this is the significance of 1773 Act, right? So it is this act which became the basis, which has become the basis for the office of President of India. It has become the basis for office of President of India, right? This is one thing. Second thing, an institution of Executive Council was created. Right? And the purpose of Executive Council is to assist the Governor General. So if we take President of India today, so you all know about President. Whether President works on his own or is there any institution to assist President of India, to support President of India, to assist and support President of India? Is there any institution to assist President of India? Remember, President of India shall always act on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. Right? We have Article 74. Right? So Article 74 talks about right, President of India. Article 74 says that President shall act on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. That means what? There is an institution called as Council of Ministers, which is headed by this Council of Ministers. This Council of Ministers is headed by whom? Prime Minister. Alright. So here there is an Executive Council to assist Governor General, and here it is Council of Ministers. Now can we say that there is a similarity between Council of Ministers and Executive Council. Similarity unda leda? Yes or no? Now can we say that the Council of Ministers that we have today have roots again in 1773 Act? Yes. 1773 Act has provided Supreme Court. Today we have Supreme Court. Again, that means the genesis of Supreme Court can be traced back to 1773 Act. Right? And if you take this 1773 Act, 1773 Act has what called subordinated normally the Bombay and Madras to Bengal. That is, the Governor General of Bengal exercised powers even over Bombay and Madras. That means there is an element of centralized administration. 1773 Act has introduced, right, a centralized administration. Right? It has introduced a centralized administration. Right? So if you take nature of Indian administration, whether Indian administration is centralized or decentralized, what is the nature of Indian administration? What is the nature of Indian administration? You said decentralized. What is your name? Raja. Okay. What is your name? Anuradha. Okay. Now one side centralized and one side decentralized. Right? Now to whom we should vote? Raja the Greater, Nari Shaktiya. To whom we should vote? Whether it is centralized or decentralized. Remember, we are known for centralization. Indian administration, not only the present administration, right from the ages, even in the ancient times, you take Mughal times, even today, we always followed a centralized administration. Indian administration is always known for centralized administration. Though we have decentralization, though we have 73rd, 74th Amendment tax, but they are namesake institutions. They are just a namesake institutions. Alright? So, what is the day? On which date Panchayat Raj Day is celebrated? On which date? April? It is on April 24th. Okay, Barnul kitame అయిపోయింది. April 24th is known as, today it is Labor Day. Exactly 6 days before it was Panchayat Raj Day. Right? So, even today we are following the same centralized administration. That means what? Can we say that 1773 Act is a stepping stone towards modern day administration? Yes or no? Definitely we can say that 1773 Act is, right, a stepping stone. It is a stepping stone towards a modern day Indian administration. A modern day Indian administration. Okay. So this is the significance of 1773 Act. Right. Moving back, going ahead. So remember the ultimate purpose of 1773 Act. The ultimate purpose of 1773 Act is to control the corrupt practices. Control corrupt practices in East India Company. What was the purpose of Regulation Acts? In the previous class I was mentioning about this point. In the previous class I was saying that the purpose of Regulation Acts, is to control, to regulate what? Regulate the corrupt practices. Regulate corrupt activities of East India Company. It is to regulate corrupt activities of East India Company. But if you take this 1773 Act, nothing much better was achieved. Right? So, no much result was achieved. That is, 1773 Act has failed to control corrupt practices. Alright? This 1773 Act, it has failed. It has failed. Alright? That is the reason why within 10 years, again a new law was brought, a new regulation was brought in 1784, which is called as Pitt's India Act. All right. 1773 Act. Pitt's India Act. Sorry. I'm sorry. 1784 Pitt's India Act, which is based upon Act of Settlement which was passed in 1781. This Pitt's Act was based upon Act of Settlement passed in 1781. Alright. So briefly I will explain this about this 1784 Act. Alright, if you take this 1784 Act, so it is based upon, it was named after the British Prime Minister William Pitts. It was William Pitts. Right. So if you take the significance of this Act is, it is known for three important elements. Pitt's India Act is known for three important things. One is, it is known for dual administration. It is known for dual administration. Second one, it is known for British possessions, that is acknowledging of British possessions. Acknowledgement over British possessions. Third one, it is known for British interference, direct involvement of Britain. It is known for direct involvement of British government. So it is for these things, right, this 1784 Act is known for. Right. So I'll explain each and everything. I will explain each and every element. First, dual administration. So if you take this dual administration, 1784 Act has divided the functions performed by East India Company, particularly the Court of Directors. The functions were divided into two categories. Right? One is, on one hand we have commercial activities. On one hand we have commercial activities. On the other hand we have civil, military, revenue administration. Civil, military and revenue administration. Alright. So we see a divisions in these functions. So commercial activities were given to Court of Directors. So earlier, Court of Directors were responsible for every activity within the East India Company. That is, they were responsible for all the functions performed, whether it is commercial or civil administration or military administration, whatever it may be, for every function it was Court of Directors who are responsible. But now, right, these functions were divided, where Court of Directors were made responsible. Court of Directors were made responsible only for commercial activities. They were made responsible only for commercial activities. Whereas coming to civil, military and revenue administration, it is given to a newly constituted institution called as Board of Control. So 1784 Act has constituted, it has created a new institution called as Board of Control, which is a 6-member body. It is a 6-member body. Right. So these 6 members are, right, Chancellor of Exchequer, President of Board of Trade and 4 Privy Council members. Right. So do you want me to repeat? Chancellor of Exchequer, then Chancellor of Exchequer, then what? President of Board of Trade. Another person is, so this is one, another one is President of Board of Trade, third person, and 4 members from Privy Council. 4 are Privy Council members. So these are total 6 members present in Board of Control. So this Board of Control was made responsible. Board of Control was made responsible for civil, military, revenue administration. Okay. So this Saturday, what is today? It is Wednesday. This Saturday, whatever current affairs that we have discussed in the class, along with the current affairs, right, whatever the polity topics, mostly I will complete up to 1861. So you can expect an objective exam on Saturday. Alright? Right? So this board of control was made responsible for civil, military and revenue administration. Here the point is, who appoints this board of control? This is a point that we should know. Who appoints them? Remember, they are appointed by, these members are appointed by British government. So the members of board of control are appointed by British government. They are directly answerable and accountable to British government. This is how British government directly involved in the activities of East India Company. Right? We see direct involvement. We see direct involvement of what you call British government. Earlier, if you take before 1773, British government never involved. In 1773, British government involved indirectly, that is by Regulation Act. But now we see direct interference, because the members of board of control, they directly belongs to whom? They directly belongs to British government. They are in fact members of British government. So we see a direct interference, a direct involvement of British government in where? Direct involvement of British government in administration of East India Company. నేను మధ్యలో క్వశ్చన్లు అడితే మీరు ఇన్నట్టు కాదు. రైట్? ఎందుకంటే why I ask these questions, because I want every student to be attentive. క్లాస్ ఎంజాయ్ చేయాలి, ప్రతి పాయింట్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. రైట్? యూ షుడ్ నాట్ వేస్ట్ టైం. ఆల్రెడీ యూఆర్ స్పెండింగ్ 3 hours ఆఫ్ టైం హియర్. అంటే చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ అది. ఫస్ట్ రివిజన్ ఇక్కడ, ఫస్ట్ రీడింగ్ ఇక్కడ అయిపోవాలి క్లాస్లో. ఫస్ట్ రీడింగ్ షుడ్ బి ఇన్ క్లాస్. ద మూమెంట్ యూ గో టు హోమ్, రివైజ్ వన్స్. టు రివైజ్ దీస్ థింగ్స్, హౌ మచ్ టైమ్ విల్ ఇట్ టేక్? 15 minutes, నాట్ మోర్ దెన్ 15 minutes. అంతే. నేను చెప్పిన పాయింట్స్, నేనేమి ఐఎమ్ నాట్ క్రియేటింగ్ ఎనీథింగ్ న్యూ. వాట్ ఎవర్ దేర్ ఇన్ ద టెక్స్ట్ బుక్, ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ గివింగ్ దెమ్. రైట్? And the only thing is my way of analysis. Right? How we should use this information. Right? So go home, read once, revise once. It's over. Alright? So I want every student to be attentive in the class, and for that sake I'll keep on asking questions. And the people are online, they have no such privilege. మనం ఏం చేయలేం దానికి. రైట్? అందుకనే ఆఫ్లైన్ అన్నని చెప్పేది. ఆన్లైన్లో ఉంటే నేను క్వశ్చన్స్ అడగలేను. రైట్? ఐఎమ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ గజని. ఇప్పటికే మర్చిపోతాయి ఏం చెప్పినావు. ఏం చెప్పింది? ఇట్ ఈస్ డైరెక్ట్ ఇన్వాల్వ్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ బ్రిటిష్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఇన్ ది యాక్టివిటీస్ ఆఫ్ ఈస్ట్ ఇండియా కంపెనీ. రైట్? ఇంతకుముందు చెప్పినా కదా, 1784 యాక్ట్ ఇస్ డోన్ ఫర్ 3 important things అని. ద థర్డ్ ఎలిమెంట్, రైట్, డైరెక్ట్ ఇన్వాల్వ్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ బ్రిటిష్ గవర్నమెంట్. రైట్? దీస్ థింగ్స్. రైట్? నౌ by this act British government clearly stated all those territories which are under the control of East India Company, they are officially recognized as British possessions. Sushila, do Britain had any territory in India? No. East India Company came to India. Somehow they fought, they begged, they done whatever they were, whatever they can. They got some territories. Now what British government has done? Government said that all those territories which are under the control of the East India Company, they are territories of Britain. They are officially, Britain has officially recognized these territories as British possessions. అంటే అర్థమేంటిది? Now Britain had land in India. British got land in India. Slowly they have occupied India by the 1784 Act. Right? Remember, here East India Company is different, totally different from British government. It is government. East India Company is a private company. But by using this private company, British government has acquired land in India. Here what British government has done, it has divided East India Company in two parts. The divide and rule policy. What is the secret of success of British? Boost kaadu. It is not boost, it is divide and rule. Now this divide and rule was successfully implemented in East India Company. What was divided? The functions of East India Company, commercial activities and civil military administration. Alright, now you can know the importance of this divide and rule. So British government cleverly used this divide and rule policy in the entire in their entire period in India. They have divided Indians, they have divided Hindus and Muslims, they have divided priestly states and provinces, and at last what they have done? They have partitioned India and they are left. Alright, if you ask me, for every daridram in the present day world, it is British which is responsible. We are talking about Israel Palestine. Who is responsible for that? Who is responsible for this Palestine Israel conflict? అది ఎవరు చేసిన పాపము? బ్రిటిష్ వాడు చేసిన పాపము. 1948లో ఇద్దరిని, అంటే దాన్ని ఏ కంక్లూజన్ లేకుండా, వితౌట్ క్లియర్లీ డివైడింగ్ ద బౌండరీస్, దే లెఫ్ట్ Israel and Palestine. Now they are fighting India and Pakistan, the Kashmir issue. What is the reason? There is no clear boundary divided between India and Pakistan. That is the reason why we are fighting. Why India and China are fighting again the same issue? So who is the reason for all these things? Adi. It is because of Britain. Right? కడుపు నిండినోనికి ఆకలి వాల్యూ తెలుస్తుందా? కడుపు నిండినోనికి ఆకలి వాల్యూ తెలుస్తుందా? మొత్తం తిన్నాడు, దేశం ప్రపంచం మొత్తం వాళ్ళు ఆక్యుపైజేషన్ ఎక్స్ప్లాయిట్ చేసుకున్నారు, వానికి బాధలు తెలుస్తాయా? మీరు ఎట్లన్నా చావండ్రా, మీరు సేఫ్ ఉంటే చాలు. ఇప్పుడు అదే జరిగింది. బ్రిటన్, యూరోపియన్ కంట్రీస్ అంటేనే అది. దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ జయశంకర్స్ క్రిటిసిజం ఆన్ వెస్టర్న్ కంట్రీస్. What is the criticism of Jaishankar and Western countries? We have seen Indian foreign ministers. He openly criticized Western countries. For what he has criticized? This is the point. He always says that the problems of Europe, he always criticizes that problems of Europe are seen as problems of the world. But what about the problems of other countries? They are not the problems of world. The problems of Syria is not a problem of the world. The problem of India is not a problem of the world. Other, if there is a problem in France, it is a problem of entire nation, entire world. The Western hypocrisy. Alright? Now I like that strategy. Alright? The bold, the way you tackle. Alright? Right, the point here is, so this 1784 Act has successfully implemented divide and rule, right, which had a long-standing impact, right, which has a long-standing impact on India, right. It was this policy which was used successfully by Britishers in India. So that is the importance of 1784 Act, right. And coming to 1813, I'll just give a glimpse of these two acts. Alright, so if you take these acts, if you take this 1793 and 1813, alright, the Governor General of Bengal was given powers, both executive powers as well as legislative powers over the Bombay and Madras presidencies. Alright, the Governor General of Bengal given executive and legislative powers over Madras and Bombay. over Madras and Bombay presidencies. So remember, Bombay and Madras had their own governors. Bombay and Madras had their own governors, and they enjoyed their legislative powers. But still, though they had their own governor, though they had legislative powers, but still the Governor General of Bengal exercised legislative control over Bombay and Madras. And even the governors of Bombay and Madras are required to take the consent of the Governor General of Bengal to make the laws. That means in one single word we can say that there is domination. There is domination of Bengal on Bombay and Madras. There is domination of Bengal. There is domination of Bengal on Bombay and Madras. Alright. So this is what done. Domination of Bengal on Bombay and Madras. Alright. And even there was another thing that was brought, another important initiative that was brought was renewal of agreement. That is, the East India Company was allowed to trade in India. The East India Company was given the license, or they were allowed to trade in India for 20 years. That means for every 20 years they need to take permission of the Queen, right? So without the permission of Queen, without the permission of the British government there, the East India Company was not allowed to trade in India for more than 20 years. That means simply it is a 20-year license, right? A 20-year lease was given to East India Company, right? So though East India Company enjoyed monopoly, though East India Company enjoyed monopoly, though there was a monopoly, but still, alright, there is a requirement of, that is, the East India Company. The East India Company was allowed to operate or trade in India only for 20 years. Alright, so this is a new change that is brought. Another important thing that took place in between this is introduction of civil services. Alright, it is introduction of civil services. Alright, the concept of civil services was introduced in 1793 by whom? Lord Cornwallis, who is regarded as father of civil services. అంటే ఏం చేయాలి, మనము కార్న్వాలిస్ ఫోటో తీసుకొచ్చి క్లాస్లో పెట్టాలి. పెట్టద్దా? మీరు రాసే సివిల్స్ ఎగ్జామే కదా, మరి మీకు దేవుడు ఎవరు? మీకు దేవుడు ఎవరు చెప్పండి. సర్దార్ ఇద్దరు పెడతాం పోనీ, రైట్? నీ మాట నా మాట కాదు కానీ ఇద్దరు పెట్టేద్దాం. రైట్, సో రైట్, so Lord Cornwallis is regarded as father of civil services. Though he has introduced civil service in India, but there was a discrimination against Indians. Right, so there was a discrimination against Indians in this civil services. That is, Indians were not allowed to join covenanted services. Remember, when this civil services was introduced in India, there was a twofold classification made. Was made, right, by Lord Cornwallis. One is covenanted and the other one is non-covenanted. One is covenanted and the other one is non-covenanted. Alright, simply for your understanding, covenanted means superior services. They are superior and these are inferior services. So Indians were allowed to join only these inferior services, that is only in non-covenanted services. Alright, so this is what This is what been done by Lord Cornwallis. So this is an important development. And today we have the civil service system, or today we have civil services, right, for which we are fighting. Will we, right? Will we be successful in this endeavor? Right? Will we get success in this fight? Success vastada? Right? Cinema చూస్తారా? Habit of watching movies? అయితే క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతా, ఆన్సర్ చెప్పండి. కలేజా సినిమా హీరో ఎవరు? ఆప్షన్స్ అడగద్దు. కలేజా సినిమా చూసినా? మహేష్ బాబు, రైట్, మిల్క్ బాయ్, రైట్ కదా. సినిమాలో ఒక డైలాగ్ ఉంటుంది, అది చెప్పండి. చాలా డైలాగులు ఉంటాయి, అందులో ఒక డైలాగ్, లాస్ట్ ఒక డైలాగ్ ఉంటుంది క్లైమాక్స్లో. అది దాని కిక్ వేరే ఉంటుంది. మీరు నాకు ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్లో లేరు కదా, నా ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్ అమర్నాథ్ ఫైర్ ఉంటుంది, ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్ ఛానల్ నాది, అందులో పోస్ట్ చేసింది ఆ డైలాగ్. అద్భుతం జరిగేంత వరకు ఎవరు గుర్తించరు, అద్భుతం జరిగిన తర్వాత ఎవరిని గుర్తింపు అవసరం లేదు. ఇది నీ దర్శనం, ఇది నీ దర్శనం. చిన్న బాబుని పట్టుకుని అప్పుడే పుట్టిన 539 ఒక ప్రాణం పోయింది, ప్రకాశ్ రాజ్ ప్రాణం పోతుంది, చిన్న బాబు పుడతాడు. ఇది నీ దర్శనం, ఇది నిదర్శనం అని ఉంటుంది. అది పక్క పెట్టొద్దాం. మనకు కావాల్సింది ఏంటిది? అద్భుతము, రైట్, గుర్తింపు. ఇవి రెండే ఇంపార్టెంట్. దాన్ని మన లెవెల్లో పట్టుకొస్తే ఏంటిది? సక్సెస్ వచ్చేంత వరకు ఎవడు మన ముఖం చూడాడు. సక్సెస్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత మనకు ఎవరితో అవసరం లేదు, అంతే కదా. ర్యాంక్ వచ్చిన ఇప్పుడు చూడనోడు అప్పుడు చూస్తే ఏంది, చూడకపోతే మనకేంది? ఇప్పుడు మన ఎఫర్ట్స్ని గుర్తించినోడు, ఇప్పుడు మనల్ని అప్రిషియేట్ చేయనోడు, తర్వాత ర్యాంక్ వచ్చినాక నువ్వు గొప్ప, నువ్వు సూపరు, నువ్వు అది అంటే మనకు అవసరం కూడా లేదు అది, రైట్. ఇది నా లైఫ్, రైట్. పీపుల్ హ్యావ్ క్రిటిసైజ్డ్ మీ, ఫ్రీగా పెట్టద్దు అది అని చెప్పాను. నీకు వచ్చేది ఏముండదని చెప్పాను. పోతే పోనీ, దాని రిజల్ట్ వచ్చినప్పుడు అందరికి వెళ్తుంది, రైట్. డన్, రైట్. దిస్ ఇస్ వాట్ ది పాయింట్ ఇస్, రైట్. సో now coming to the next act, that is 1833 act, the Charter Act of 1833. It is very, very important. The Charter Act of 1833, it is very important for exam. Charter Act of 1833, because many changes were brought which had a lasting impact on India. If you take this 1833 Act, the office of Governor General was made as Office of Governor General of India. That means for the first time the institution of Governor General of India was created. For the first time the Governor General of India was created, right. And who is the first person to be appointed as Governor General of India? Who is the first person? Can you guess? William Bentinck. Canning is first viceroy, right? Last Governor General and first viceroy, right? So it is William Bentinck. It is William Bentinck who is the first Governor General of India, right? This is one thing. Second thing, deprivation of legislative powers of Bombay and Madras. Deprivation of Bombay and Madras presidencies. Deprivation of Bombay and Madras presidencies. All right. Alright, that means it is legislative powers. What do you mean by this? The Bombay and Madras from 1833 onwards, they are not given what you call legislative powers. That is their law making powers. What do you mean by legislative powers? What do you mean by legislative powers? It is law making powers. Legislative powers means it is law making powers. The legislative powers of Bombay and Madras were taken back. Now who enjoyed these powers? Who enjoyed the power to make laws? ఇప్పటి వరకు వాళ్ళకు లా మేకింగ్ పవర్స్ ఉండేవి, కానీ ఇప్పుడేమైంది, ఆ పవర్స్ని లాగేసుకున్నారు. మరి బాంబేకి మద్రాస్ సంబంధించి ఎవరు లాస్ చేయాలి? హూ హ్యాడ్ ద పవర్ టు మేక్ లాస్? ఎంతమంది మాట్లాడి ఈస్ట్ ఇండియా కంపెనీ గురించే. హూ? గవర్నర్ జనరల్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. రైట్, అటెంటివ్గా ఉండు. రైట్, సో ఇట్ ఈస్ గవర్నర్ జనరల్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. రైట్, నార్మల్గా నాకున్న ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటంటే నేను ప్రతి స్టూడెంట్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ అడుగుతూ ఉంటా, ఎవరిని వదిలిపెట్టను. ప్రతి క్లాస్లో 100 మంది ఉంటే 100 మంది నాతో మాట్లాడాల్సిందే. పిల్లలు ఏమనుకుంటారు, సార్ మమ్మల్ని టార్గెట్ చేసిన అనుకుంటారు. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ అబౌట్ టార్గెటింగ్. ఐ వాంట్ ఎవ్రీ వన్ టు what you call to speak, to interact. When you don't have that habit of talking and interacting, you won't be successful in UPSC. లేకపోతే మీకు సక్సెస్ రాదు. ఆ భయం ఉన్నంత వరకు మీరు అసలు సివిల్స్లో ఉండలేరు. ఒక విషయం గురించి మాట్లాడే కెపాసిటీ ఉండాలి. రైట్, నేను చాలామంది చూసిన యూపీఎస్సీలో 5 times ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వెళ్ళి కూడా సర్వీసులు రాకుంటున్నారు. కొంతమంది ఉంటారు. రైట్, నేను ఒక చిన్న ఒక ఆఫీసర్ గురించి చెప్తాను. చాలా వెరీ పాపులర్, ఇప్పుడు బాగా పేరు వినిపిస్తుంది. రైట్, హీఈస్ అ ర్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ కమిషనర్ ఆఫ్ పోలీస్, సిపి. 4 times ప్రిలిమ్స్ క్వాలిఫై కాలేదు. హీ హాస్ ఫెయిల్డ్ ఇన్ హిస్ ఫస్ట్ 4 ప్రిలిమ్స్ ఎగ్జామ్స్. రైట్, లాస్ట్ అటెంప్ట్ in his 5th attempt, OBC category, in his 5th attempt he cleared prelims but could not get service. 6th attempt he got IPS. Alright, the moment the moment he went to interview, he got very good marks interview. Now what is the reason for that? మరి ఫస్ట్ 4 times ప్రిలిమ్స్ క్వాలిఫై కాలే కదా. అంటే అర్థం ఏంటిది, అనుకున్న ఎబిలిటీ అది. There are friends in my circle who wrote 9 times mains but never got interview call. Alright, I had one of my friend who faced 4 interviews in UPSC but failed. ఇంకో ఫ్రెండ్ 5 interviews, సర్వీస్ రాలేదు. రీజన్ ఏంటిదంటే మనం అన్ని రకాలుగా రెడీగా ఉండాలి ఎగ్జామ్కి. అందుకనే ప్రతి స్టూడెంట్ నాతో మాట్లాడాలి. డోంట్ థింక్ దట్ ఐఎమ్ వాట్ యు కాల్ టార్గెటింగ్ ఎనీవన్. ఐ వాంట్ ఎవ్రీ వన్ టు టాక్ టు మీ. ఐ వాంట్ ఎవ్రీ వన్ టు బీ ఎంతూజియాస్టిక్. రైట్, సో it was Governor General of India. It was Governor General of India who was given this power. It was Governor General of India who was given the power to make laws, and laws made by Governor General of India. The laws made by Governor General of India, they are made equally applicable. They are made equally applicable to all the 3 presidencies. That is for Bombay, Bengal and Madras. Right? So, bring the bottle to me, Bhagya. All right, Bhagya. All right, the laws that are made by Governor General, the laws that are made by Governor General of India, they are equally applicable. They are made equally applicable to all the 3 presidencies. Right, that is what the point is. That means, so as Bombay and Madras, as they are deprived of their legislative powers, but the laws made by Governor General of India is applicable to all the 3 presidencies. Right, and William Bentinck, you should always remember the name of William Bentinck, because he is a person who is known for police reforms in India. He is the one who brought the system of constables, superintendent of police. Right, he is the one who has reformed the police system. He has organized police in the modern lines. The concept of policing that we have today, it was actually started by William Bentinck. Right, it was actually William Bentinck who has started this policing system. Right, right, Constitution of Law Commission, for the first time it was in 1833. It was in 1833. All right, the Law Commission was constituted. First time a Law Commission was constituted. Right, so if you take this Law Commission, right, So what is the purpose of law commission? Even today we have law commissions. And the first person to chair this law commission is Lord Macaulay. Alright? Now this fellow is very, very important. This person is very important. Lord Macaulay. Alright, make it. Okay, I'll write here. Macaulay. Lord Macaulay, who was a chairperson of first law commission of India. And the purpose of this law commission, is to codify the laws. It is meant for codification of laws. Alright, it is English codification but not Telugu codification. Alright, it is codification of laws. That is simply separating laws. So, laws are applied according to the nature of act. Alright, say for example, you have stabbed me, Kakatiya. Alright, you have stabbed me. Alright, now you have thrown a stone on me. Alright, odo katton bodichindu, odo rayi visreshindu. Iddarku same punishment. Idhar same punishment here, na? Right? So, why there should be differential punishment? Punishment depends upon the nature of act. You cannot have the same kind of act. So, these law commissions, they clearly specifies, they clearly divides different types of acts and they prescribe the type of punishments according to the nature of act. Alright? Where, what kind of punishment should be given to what kind of act. Alright? So, the law commissions, their law commissions are meant to differentiate laws. Differentiation of laws. Today we have civil laws, criminal laws, right? So the procedure that is to be, that is to be adopted for imposing the punishments. So all this is done by law commission, and law commission always recommends the changes that are required in the legal system. Recently we have seen the union government bringing changes to CRPC, right? Criminal Procedure Code. Changes are made to CRPC, CPC. No, it is essential. Changes are made based upon the recommendations given by law commissions. It is purely on the recommendations of law commissions, right? So this is what about law commission. All right, next one. So this act, of course, it has restricted the monopoly of East India Company. The East India Company was allowed to enjoy monopoly for not more than 20 years. Right? That means after 20 years, the East India Company will lose its monopoly. Right? So 1833 Act has brought an end to the monopoly enjoyed by East India Company. Alright? That means what? After 20 years, not only East India Company, there will be other British companies. Which can have trade in India. Till now, it was only East India Company that was allowed to it was only East India Company that was allowed to have trade in India. But from 1833 Act, after 20 years from 1833, that means from 1853, there won't be any monopoly to East India Company. Right? So that means what? Along with East India Company, there can be other companies. Right, that can have factories, they can establish their factories, they can have trade, they can have commercial activities in India. Alright, so that is what the importance. And there was an idea, right? Even this 1833 Act has proposed allowing Indians into civil services, but it was opposed by Court of Directors. The Court of Directors have opposed the idea of allowing Indians into the civil services. Right? So these are the major changes brought by 1833 Act. Right? Once again, let me repeat about this. Doubts ఉన్నాయా? ఓకే, ఏదన్నా అడగాలనుకుంటే నిర్మమాట ఇంకా అడగండి, నేను పైసలేం తీసుకోను అడిగితే. రైట్? సో Constitution of appointment of Governor General of India. Second one is what you call deprivation of legislative powers of Bombay and Madras. Right? Constitution of Law Commission. Then what you call ending the monopoly of East India Company. Right? The idea of allowing Indians into the what you call civil services, which was opposed by Court of Directors. అర్థమైందా? Right? Next, we move on to the next act, that is the Charter Act of 1853. The Charter Act of 1853. Right? Again, it is very, very important. Again, this is important. Right? If we take this Charter Act of 1853, it is known for separation of powers. It is known for separation of powers. Second one, it is known for adding of Indians into the council. Indians into council. Third one, adding of Indians into the council. Third one is, right, it is what you call, alright, introduction of merit system of recruitment. It is merit system of recruitment. Alright, so separation of powers, Indianization of council, that is adding of Indians into the council, merit system of recruitment. Right? So these are the important elements of 1853 Act. Right? First, let me talk about separation of powers. Let me talk about separation of powers. So if you take this separation of powers, right, if you take Governor General and Executive Council. So what was the role of Executive Council? What was the role of Executive Council? The role of Executive Council is to assist Governor General both in executive functions as well as legislative functions. That is what we have learned in 1773. That means what? Executive Council assisted Governor General both in executive as well as legislative functions. Alright? Now, in 1853, what was done is a new legislative council was created. A new legislative council was created. Alright? Intamundu ledu. Now, for the first time, we see creation of a legislative council. Right? Where the purpose of this legislative council, where the purpose of legislative council is to assist Governor General in legislative functions. That is from 1853 onwards. From 1853 onwards, the executive council will assist in executive functions, whereas legislative council will assist in legislative functions. Right? Now, why suddenly East India Company has created a legislative council? రాత్రులు కలొచ్చి ఉంటుందా? కలొచ్చింది కాబట్టి లెజిస్లేటివ్ కౌన్సిల్ క్రియేట్ చేసిందా? కెన్ దేర్ బి ఎనీ రీజన్ ఫర్ దిస్? రిమెంబర్, రైట్? సో monopoly, it is with respect to what you call trading activities of East India Company, but here it is about deliberative functions, the law making functions. Remember, so legislative functions normally it is about the political functions performed by East India Company. It is normally the political functions performed by East India Company. Okay? So from almost all the early 19th century, from the early 19th century, we see a kind of social and political awareness in India because of the reform movements, because of the reform movements that were undertaken. We see increased social and political consciousness. We have seen people like Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Atma Ram Panduranga, Prarthana Samaj, Brahma Samaj. All right. So not only this, there was Bengal Landholder Society 1843, alright, Bengal Native Association 1851, Bombay Native Association, Madras Native Associations, alright, which were formed in 1852. So these kind of organizations, they were demanding political place, they were demanding a place for Indians in the political system. They wanted Indians to be appointed. They wanted Indians to be appointed in the political system. That is because of this reason, because of this increasing pressure, because of the increased pressure from Indians. All right, a separate legislative council was created and Indians were appointed. Three Indians were appointed in the non-official capacity. That is, they are non-official members. These Indians were non-official members who were appointed. They were non-official members who were appointed to the council. Alright. So they are appointed to the legislative council. So they are simply the representatives of these three presidencies. Alright. That is, their opinion, their views are just opinions which are not binding in the law making process. That is, the views are opinions given by Indians. The views are opinions given by Indians. They are not binding. They were not binding on government. Right? They are non-binding in nature. They were non-binding in nature. Right? So this is what about addition of Indians into the separation of what we call executive council from legislative council and adding of Indians into the legislative council. Another important point is introduction of merit system of recruitment. So it was introduced, this merit system of recruitment. Merit system of recruitment was introduced based upon the recommendations of again the same person, Lord Macaulay. So Macaulay is known for Law Commission, Macaulay is known for introduction of merit system of recruitment. What do you mean by merit system of recruitment? Open competitive examination. That is a competitive examination through civil services, which is open for all. It is open for everyone. So everyone has the right, everyone has the equal opportunity of taking this civil competitive examination or civil services exam. Right? So though merit system of recruitment was introduced in 1857, the actual exam was held in 1872. Right? The first exam under this merit system was introduced. The first exam under this merit system was held in 1872. Who is the first person to get selected for the civil services? First Indian, Satyendranath Tagore. Correct. It is Satyendranath Tagore who is the first person to be selected to civil services. Alright. So this is about what we call 1853 Act. Alright. So for now I will stop on this point of 1853 Act. Alright. So if you take this 1853 Act, this Act has separated Executive Council from Legislative Council. Right. 3 Indians were appointed to the Legislative Council, right, which is known for Indianization of Council. And third one, it is introduction of merit system of recruitment. Alright. So after 1853, we see a total change because of revolt of 1857, which is also called as Sipahi Mutiny. Alright, Sipahi Mutiny. Alright. So because of the Sipai we see a change, a total change, right? So we will see these changes. We will talk about what you call the subsequent laws made in tomorrow's class. So mostly by Friday I will complete this historical background. Alright? So I hope you have understood the class. Understanding a class? Malla same problem of echo. అర్థమవుతుందా? సో whether I'm going fast, or are you able to comprehend with me? అంటే నా లాంగ్వేజ్, నా ఇంగ్లీష్ అన్న ఫాస్ట్గా ఉందా? కొంచెం ఫాస్ట్గా ఉందా? మీ సార్లు ఇంత ఫాస్ట్ చెప్తారా? నేను చాలా స్లో చెప్తాను క్లాసు. అసలు నా ఫాస్ట్నెస్ ఇది కాదు. రైట్, మీరు స్లోగా అలవాటు పడతారు. రైట్, ఐ విల్ బి లిటిల్ బిట్ స్లో యాజ్ యు ఆర్ వెరీ న్యూ టు మీ. ఐ విల్ బి స్లో రైట్ ఇన్ ద క్లాస్. స్లోలీ యూ గెట్ హ్యాబిచుయేటెడ్ టు మీ. రైట్, అండ్ మోస్ట్లీ దిస్ ఈజ్ మై స్టైల్ ఆఫ్ టీచింగ్. రైట్, ఎక్కువ ఇంగ్లీష్ వాడుతూ ఉంటా, మధ్య మధ్యలో నవ్విస్తూ ఉంటా. ఏమైనా ఇబ్బంది పెడితే మీరు ఇబ్బంది పడద్దు. రైట్, ఓకేనా? బట్ లాస్ట్లో వాట్ ఐఎమ్ టీచింగ్, టేక్ ద క్లాస్ సిన్సియర్లీ. ఓకే, సో ఫర్ నౌ విల్ స్టాప్ ద క్లాస్. అండ్ మీకు నచ్చితే కామెంట్ పెట్టండి. రైట్, పెడతారా? ఎవరిని పెడతారు? సూపరు, సపోర్ట్. రైట్, నాకు ఆ కామెంట్లు చూస్తూ అంటే నాకు నవ్వొస్తూ ఉంటుంది. రైట్, కాబట్టి తప్పదు. యూట్యూబ్లో మన పేరు బయటికి రావాలంటే మీరు కామెంట్లు పెట్టాలి, అంతే కదా? మీకు నచ్చితేనే పెట్టండి, నచ్చకపోతే బలవంతం ఏం లేదు. రైట్, ఇంకో 10 మందికి చెప్పండి అశోక్ నగర్లో. అశోక్ నగర్ ఖాళీ కావాలి మొత్తం అంతా, అంతేనా? సివిల్స్ క్వాలిఫై గాను, ప్రిలిమ్స్ క్వాలిఫై గాను, రాయడం కూడా ఇచ్చి పెట్టింది ఇక్కడ. ఎంత దరిద్రం అంటే గ్రూప్ 2 చెప్తున్నట్టు కూడా ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్లు పెట్టుకొని సివిల్స్ క్లాస్ చెప్తారు. నాకు చాలా నమస్కారం. నాకు 2019 సిస్టమ్ లేదు, 2019 సిస్టమ్ లేదు. లాక్డౌన్ ముందు లాక్డౌన్ తర్వాత మీరు ప్రిపేర్ అవుతున్నప్పుడు సిస్టమ్ లేదు. ఇప్పుడున్న సిస్టమ్ ఇంకా కలిగి ఉంది. మా ప్రిపరేషన్ టైంలో చాలా బాగుండేది.